Hey, Master Torok, Jim McKenzie. Here we are again with another video, and this is what we're going to do with gun self-defense. Now, there's hundreds of videos out there how to do this, but the first thing we're going to say is that a lot of what we teach is incongruent with reality. Okay, either this guy's going to shoot you and you're dead or whatever, or he's not going to shoot you. So why in the world would we want to try to do something risky to make it worse? So the residual benefit of a lot of these techniques is that you're learning to move, you're learning to focus, to judge distance. And so in this case, the gun, for example, is just a prop that gets us to do something different. Okay. Now, there's a lot of variables that make it harder to do reality. The environment that you're in, the mood that you're in, the nature of the attack. So a lot of things. But especially for weapon self-defense, there's three things I think are most important. One is the distance, obviously the type of weapon, etc. The distance. If the person's far enough away from you, unless it's a gun, he can't do much to you. Why would you want to practice knife fighting these guys for keyboard? Hell, I'd rather run, because it's risky. Now, if that's your thing, well, fine. So the distance that they're away from you, if the knife is close, you have access to it. If the gun is close. The other important thing is whether it's a static or dynamic attack. This person has a knife and just cuts at you. If that's pretty dynamic, you have to do something quick. Okay, if it's static, they're holding the knife well, or coming in slow, you have a greater chance to think about what you're doing. Same thing with a gun. If you've got the gun in your face, yeah, you can try a technique, but if you're standing 20 feet away from you, what are you going to do? Your chances are better off running if you care. Okay, so we're going to do some techniques. We're not going to imagine that it's for real, but there are certain principles involved. Now, in general, any self-defense has what I call AAA: awareness, analysis, and action. Awareness is you realize there's a situation where something's going to happen. This guy's pulling his gun on you and say, this is not good. Okay? Or you see somebody skulking in the bushes or what have you. If you have time, if it's not a dynamic attack right away, what is your analysis? And that's based a lot on, in other words, what are you going to do? And that's based on your training. What can you do? And then, of course, the action. What, as a result of your analysis, are you going to run or fight or do some techniques? So is it worth the risk? So it all depends on whether the attack is coming at you quick or not quick. So these techniques obviously are going to be just static technique, mostly because otherwise you really don't have a chance to do much of anything. So having said that, okay, here we have a guy puts a gun in your face. He may or may not say to put your hands up, or you might think, hey, I'll put my hands up because that's better, okay? So basic rule, any rule, get out of the way, okay, whether it's a punch or anything. Two, if your hands are enough, get the hands up in that box where you can use them for something, okay? And then the third thing is, what are you going to do about it, okay? So get out of the way, hands up, and keep moving. The technique may or may not work, so you got to keep moving. So those three basic principles apply. So from here, I'd like to get away from that other hand just in case we struggle. You may not always have that option, okay? So get out of the way, get your hands up. Now, a lot of gun technique, boy, they grab real quick, and now I can strip the gun or hit the guy and strip the gun. But what's this other guy doing? He's not going to stand there like that. So if you have a bad grip, don't keep fighting the grip. Switch it off. The other reason I like to switch off in these cases, number one, hands up. There's my primary hand, secondary hand. If this misses, then you have that. Pull the gun back this time, Jim. Okay, so I do this and I go here. That you're going to pull back. Oh, go ahead. Go right. So from here, oh, what happened? Well, on the secondary hand can take over. Okay, but if I use my primary hand and I do get a grab, this sometimes is an awkward position to get from. So you switch, and now I have a much better chance of striking, and I can always switch back and then work some kind of a cool disarm where we break his finger or whatever, okay? So I don't like to hit off that rear hand, especially if the guy is struggling, okay? So one more time from here, maybe I go the other way, boom, okay? So out of the way with a weapon. Now you could either disarm and then hurt the guy, or you could try to hurt the guy and then disarm. Depends on the situation. So for example, here, okay, I'm gonna hurt the guy and then come back for my disarm, okay? But in other cases, say I'm out of the way and I'm struggling here, maybe easier to get at the weapon than it is to do that. So that's based on your training on what choices you have, okay? So maybe we vary the situation, but a lot of them end up with the grab somewhere in here. And we'll do another video with a knife attack, very similar to that, although this is more dynamic. Gun behind your head, okay? If it's not touching you, don't know what it is, well, you don't have a lot of shots here, okay? What you don't want to do is this, okay? Anytime, out of the way, hands up. Okay, now I either hit the guy and control the weapon or control the weapon, and then I start to work the guy. And in here, of course, they show you how you break the guy's finger in the guard. This boy's a disarm. You have a shovel disarm, you have an overhead disarm. But normally you beat the crap out of the guy until he's ready to drop the weapon. You know, a single shot and going for the weapon doesn't make a lot of sense. Another variable we can't account for is the guy's gun's here. Okay, I did my technique. If it goes off, what effect does that muzzle blast have on you? Is that going to shock you? Okay. But ultimately, you have to be willing and ready to hurt somebody without remorse. They shouldn't have that weapon. Okay. Other places they can have the weapon maybe side of your head. Should your hands be here? Here. Depends on what your options are. Out of the way, hands up. Hurt the guy. Keep hurting this guy. If the grip is weak, switch your grip and come back to your technique. Okay, so number one, you have to have good striking ability. You have to have good focus. You have to know you can do damage with strikes that you're using. And you have to make sure that you pay attention to those basic things. Out of the way, hands up, hurt the person, disarm. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you. With the gun. Boom. This is going to be a bunch of people will be upset about that.
Yeah, so the idea was to teach principles, not so much. It was enough technique built into it to see what we're doing.
That's great.
Instead of trying to do something super fancy. Because the fancy one, for example, is go ahead and grab the gun, please. And we do have the knife and stuff as well. You know, and we don't know what kind of gun it's going to be, right? So maybe I can grab it, or maybe I can't.
Right.
But one technique I saw is the hammer's cocked. You get out of the way, you put your finger in there. Yeah, this guy's fighting. You're going to try to find that?
This is
Okay, this is cool technique. Now we'll do the whole thing. Get out of the way, and then a palm hand it.
Yeah.
It either goes off or the gun flies. Right?
And I figured right in the face too. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, other principles we do is okay. I come here. Okay, I did all this. I want to peel so the gun comes past your head and so. And again, it's good if you can get it.
Yeah.
So you don't really want to start to teach too much of that because it just draws more critics.
Oh yeah.
But if you can.
Well, there's always going to be critics, right? Yeah, no matter what you do.
Oh yeah.
Someone's going to. I did a salute with a gun. They're probably like, "What the hell's going on?"